All right, so you're looking at relocating to the Denver area and you can't decide whether we're looking at Castle Rock as our home or Parker as your home. Are definitely close together, but there's some differences. Yes. Today, we're gonna be breaking down both of them to you. We're gonna run a Parker versus Castle Rock video. We're gonna give you the pros and cons, the versus this, versus that, however you guys wanna wrap it up. But either way, we're gonna be talking all things Parker, all things Castle Rock, and helping you decide which one's best for you.
That's right. Now, the reason we wanted to pair these two up together is because Castle Rock is one of the most popular places to move. And naturally, when people are looking at Castle Rock, Parker's kind of the next door neighbor. So that one always comes up, and there's enough similarities to where it often becomes a Parker or Castle Rock thing, but then there's also a lot of differences.
There are, and listen, they're also super close to each other.
Yes.
Just for example, you've got Crowfoot Valley, one of the main thoroughfares, and if you guys can look at a map right now, if we're showing you a topographical map, there's a road that goes right through the back way from Parker over to Castle Rock. That wasn't always there. It's gotten more developed, and not only is it more developed, but you have a lot of brand new builds on that strip as well. So you can almost kind of live in between both of them. Now, the challenge with that is obviously gonna be some of the shopping and your commute to each, which side you're gonna go to. But either way, it's right next door. So when folks are coming to town, we've helped hundreds of you guys move to Denver metro area, it becomes a topic of discussion. So not only are we just seeing it on the online traffic, but we're seeing it in person with a lot of our clients. It's hard not to peek right next door and just see what's available. And believe it or not, I don't wanna say it's right down the middle, but we have a lot of folks move to Parker just as much as we do Castle Rock. So it's really hard to figure out which one picks which. There is not a majority of which one goes to which though. It seems pretty even, but either way, let's dive into some facts for you guys to figure out what's best for you.
All right, so let's start off with some of the similarities between the two before we dive into some of the differences. So first of all, one of the main similarities is going to be location. They're both located on the south side of Denver.
They're both located at the bottom of a clock. So if Denver were a clock, as you guys know, if you guys go directly south to 6 o'clock through I-25 South, you'll find yourself directly 6 o'clock will be your Castle Rock. If you're looking at 5, maybe 5.5, you're looking at that Parker. And I'm only throwing that out there because most people love this clock.
It's true, they do. So look at Castle Rock as 6, Parker as maybe, let's call it 5:30, but they are on the south metro side of Denver. On top of that, if you're looking at the age and styles of home, you're gonna find a lot of similarities there as well. They're each gonna have a blend of homes that were built in the mid-90s to early 2000s, and then a lot of new builds. But I would give the new build award to Castle Rock, because Castle Rock being located at 6 o'clock directly south of Denver, you have a lot more room on the south side to build and develop. And that really is where you're starting to see Castle Rock grow, is just way more down south than eventually. I mean, South Castle Rock is gonna connect to Monument, is going to connect to Colorado Springs at some point.
And something that we're going to be talking about later on today when Eli's taking you guys through like the Google Earth view of everything. It's going to look really far south when you're looking at South Castle Rock. We're literally talking another 6 minutes, sometimes 3.5 to 4 minutes down the road. It's going to look far, but it's really not. There's some beautiful things that are going on. Now, I will defend Parker a little bit, and I'll say there are some great new builds that are happening in Parker. It's more on your east side of Parker, southeast side of Parker. And it's not as much. It's not your large suburban areas. It's not your big master plan communities or anything like that. You do have some beautiful luxury homes that are being built. And you can also do some great remodels within, you've got a couple golf courses that are out there. It's just a little bit different style when it comes to what you can do home-wise, but when it comes to, the Toll Brothers, the Richmond Americans, these master plan communities, and just bang for buck, what you're getting for house, Castle Rock is really hard to beat, whether we're talking about Parker or anywhere else in the Colorado area, Denver metro area, it's really hard to beat.
Now, what you're also gonna find as far as similarities go, are price point. Castle Rock is gonna be at about $650,000 for their median price point. Parker is gonna be at about $665,000. So very close as far as price point. But then again, like Will said, you are gonna find more new builds available in Castle Rock. For comparing like for like, most likely you can get a newer house in Castle Rock for about the same price as maybe an older one in Parker.
Here's what's not close. Shopping.
Yes.
When you talk about Castle Rock, now that can be a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe you don't necessarily need to be that close to shopping, but when it comes to your large grocery stores, when it comes to the outlet malls, when it comes to your large strip malls, when it comes to downtown Castle Rock for just your nightlife and going to some nice restaurants, Castle Rock is one of the best places to travel into or live into when it comes to overall shopping, right? You've got our big outlets that are out there. A lot of folks travel from at least an hour, hour and a half away to come down there on the weekends. That can get a little busy, right? So that might not be for you. However, all of your other shopping and everything else tends to be very good. No disrespect to Parker. I love Parker, preferably. Maybe I'd even live there over Castle Rock. You have less ability to shop. You do have like
more
your
spread
strip mall.
out.
It's just more spread out. You have your King Supers, which is like our national grocery store. You've got the Lazy Boy stores. You've got the strip malls. You've got the Chipotles and everything. But you don't really have these large parking lots that have a lot of stuff there where you can get in and get out, get everything that you need. Everything is kind of spread out every couple of blocks, and you've got smaller strip malls for things that you need. Now, a lot of folks like just more of like that lower pace lifestyle. They don't need everything bunched together. They don't need a lot of people coming into Parker for their shopping. A lot of people like the pace. Castle Rock, I used to live in Castle Rock on top of Diamond Ridge. We loved it. The commute down the mountain took a couple of minutes, but the outlets were fun. The shopping was really easy to do, except for the weekends. They're not horrible. I'm just not a big crowd guy. I'm not a big stand in line guy, so we would try our best to get some things done during the week. And I will say, when I was a local and we lived in Castle Rock, if you're shopping during the week, typically you don't have any issues there. It's really if you're just trying to get things done on the weekend, it can get a little busy. But it just comes down to your guys' preference as far as pace of what you guys would like. You want more land? You want more slower pace, but you just have to travel a bit more for what you need? Do you like golf? Does Castle Rock have good golf courses?
They do, yes. Castle Pines.
Yeah, Castle Pines is okay. That's Castle Pines. See,
I
a
mean,
little favor there. Giving Castle Rock a little favor. I don't know. Either way, definitely shopping when it comes to amount of, not even close. Castle Rock is huge.
Correct. Yes. Now, here's a situation where you can get the best of both worlds, right? So let's say that you do maybe want a little bit slower day-to-day lifestyle. You don't want as much traffic on the weekend, but you still want proximity to the shopping and stuff and dining that's available in Castle Rock. Well, the good news is Parker is just about 20 minutes away from Castle Rock. So
max.
Max. Yeah. So you guys could live in Parker and have all of those, like the nice quiet neighborhoods and stuff like that, but then go and do your shopping whenever you want.
And even if you're living south, like if you're living by Pradera, and you take Crowfoot Valley over the backside of Castle Rock, that's 20 minutes?
Yeah.
I think it's a little less.
If you're in Pradera, maybe 15. Yeah, 12.
We're splitting hairs, a couple of minutes. But listen, what's really cool about Parker is you've also got Southeast Aurora. That's not too far from you as well. So if we're looking at the map again, I'm sure Eli's gonna walk you guys through this on the Google Earth, and he's gonna do his thing, which is super fun. And a lot of you guys really enjoy that. It's very informative. So thank you for doing those things.
Of course.
Parker is like right smack dab in the middle of your Castle Rock experience, especially now that Crowfoot Valley is a great thorough through for you guys to get there. You can also travel just north and you guys can experience Southeast Aurora, where you've got Southlands Mall, you've got a huge organic King Supers that's there, and plenty of other things, including a movie theater, et cetera, for the weekends. They do concerts during the springs and summer. They do ice rinks in the winter. They do Santa Claus over there. So really, if you like to live a little bit more peaceful or a little bit more quiet per se, as far as less traffic in and around where you live, and you don't mind traveling 15 minutes either way, you're in a really good spot as far as where you'd like to do your shopping. And that's why a lot of our folks really enjoy Parker. And again, when it comes to school districts and everything else, you're in the same county for that. So you're having a lot of great success when it comes to your own school district experience. And if you're looking at Castle Rock or Parker, it's the same.
Let's say that you are really into the big master plan communities with really nice clubhouses and pools and things like that. This is where I would give Castle Rock another edge because of how many new developments are down there, and each one of these developments has its own master plan community with all of these features. It's a really great way to meet your neighbors, have your kids meet other friends and things like that. And again, these things are used year round with the exception of the pool.
Correct.
You're gonna see people playing pickleball at these places even in the winter, right?
So competitive.
I know, right?
All right, now before we move forward, we do want to remind you that we are licensed brokers here in the state of Colorado, and this number that's popping up below. We are the guys who answer the phone calls, text messages, and those emails, so we can help you with your real estate needs, living in or moving to Colorado. We'd love to help you, but moving on, we're going to find out where Eli lives and everything else you guys want to know about Castle Rock and Parker. And just from first person, right? Because my family lived in Castle Rock for a long time, and we had a full acre up there, and we had top of the mountain experience, but then the shopping and the big experience there. And I remember when we got pregnant with our third son, we wanted to get closer to family, so we decided, hey, Southeast Aurora. And by we, I mean I decided Southeast Aurora was going to be the part. She wasn't sure at first, but now my wife loves it here. But when we were first coming over here, it was like, are we fit for the master plan community style person? Like, we're not necessarily folks that need to be where he's at. Like, if we have a second, let's show where Eli lives. So now we know where Eli lives. Like, this is a little context.
100%.
We're not quite to that side, but we do like our piece. But I will say this, as much as Eli and I travel the country teaching other realtors how to create their YouTube channels and their brand and to do real estate and how much we have to travel for that, it's really nice that our kiddos have it. And even when I'm home, it's really nice that our kiddos have it. We have 2 large clubhouses. They've got gyms inside of them. They've got pool facilities. We just had a great baby shower for some of our friends. We were able to rent the clubhouse out over here. And it's an amazing experience. We've had an amazing experience with a lot of our neighbors. And believe it or not, like, neighbors are pretty cool cool over here. They're kind of very similar to us, but I will say we are new adopters these past 3 years of master plan community. We didn't think that would be very fitting for us, but it really is nice to have as far as for the family, for activities, and something that South Shore is doing, where I live, South Shore, they're adding a lot of just adult things at the clubhouses to get neighbors to meet each other, et cetera, and it can be a really positive thing for you. So if you haven't at least considered it, I would definitely say if there's been a master plan community that's been built in the past 8 years or newer, they are doing some really cool stuff of just making what I would call a modern community that I think is at least worth turning that stone. And that is by far, if you're looking at Castle Rock compared to Parker, you're gonna get significantly newer, bigger, better, subjectively better, right? Like master plan communities.
Yes, yeah.
You do have some of those in Parker, correct? But they're just significantly older, a little bit more traditional.
Yeah, just not as big.
25 years old. I don't even know if you could call it a master plan community, but some of these newer ones, I would venture to say just leap over Parker and check out Southeast Aurora and Castle Rock if you're looking for the master plan.
Yes, yeah, couldn't agree more with that. Now, let's talk taxes real quick. This is gonna be another similarity. Right now, in the older neighborhoods of both Castle Rock and Parker, you're gonna see an average of about 0.7 on your property tax rate, and that's 0.7% of your total home sales price, right? Just a rough calculation. On the new build side of both Castle Rock and Parker, you're gonna be anywhere from maybe 1% to maybe 1.2% on the high end. So either place, if you're buying a new build, you will have higher property taxes because they need to account for new schools, fire stations, sewer, water, streets, all the community infrastructure.
So you're seeing slightly higher in Castle Rock?
About the same. New build for new build, it'll be roughly 1 to 1.2.
And as things get developed, believe it or not, it might not surprise you. Sometimes it does happen where your property taxes might decrease a little bit. I know where we lived in Castle Rock, believe it or not, we had a decrease from the first year we were there, and then the second year that we were entering into, it was actually cheaper. And as things get developed, schools are developed, roads are built, they don't necessarily need as many funds, like they can have a decrease, right? So definitely something to
plan on about 5 years for that. We were just helping some clients buy in Montaigne down in Castle Rock. That's a community down there. This particular area that we were building in, there is a metro district tax, which is that higher tax rate that we're talking about. And they said that there was a 5-year stipulation on that, and we were like 2 years into it. The new buyers coming in, they're just gonna have to ride that out for 3 years, and then that metro district will drop off. So you are correct.
But you do see it. I've experienced it, and then some of our clients have experienced it, so definitely something to look forward to. If you are getting into a master plan community that is older than 5 years, you've probably already hit some of that, so just expect it to be pretty accurate moving forward.
Now let's dive into one of the biggest differences, in my opinion. We've been talking about a lot of similarities because there are a lot of similarities. One of the biggest differences is the views and the overall Colorado experience that you're gonna have living in Castle Rock versus Parker.
Correct. So now, I know this is an oceanfront property, what a lot of folks are used to. We get a lot of folks from Florida and from California that move to Colorado. You can see the mountains from a long way away. So even when you're in Parker, depending on where you're at or the elevation on, it's a little bit more of just like the open plains and more of like rolling hills. You've got great views of the mountains, especially depending on where your home is at, and it's beautiful and you're looking at the mountains. Castle Rock, however, even if it's just 15 minutes southwest down the road, believe it or not, you're starting to get into some of the actual mountain terrain. Believe it or not, you almost feel like you're more so not only having a great view of the mountains, but depending on what part of Castle Rock you're in, you kind of feel like you're in the mountains. A lot more pine trees, a lot more rock and mountainous terrain. Mild, so it's easy to commute, but you definitely have that feeling of like you're embarking into the mountains while also still looking at them. So depending on what you're looking for there, could also be great. Castle Rock, guys, if we can show you like some drone footage of it, whatever maybe as Eli takes you guys through today, you're in this big valley. Castle Rock is one big valley that can see all the way out to Pikes Peak. It's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
So you're kind of almost wrapped up into this valley where there's mountain all the way around you, and you kind of feel like you're in it while also having views of the bigger mountains. And as you guys know, the mountains go all the way from below Colorado all the way above Colorado, those Rocky Mountains, right? So yes, you can feel like you're in this valley and in the mountains, but also having a view of the rest of the mountains that you're looking at as you look northwest out of the valley of Castle Rock.
It's true.
That makes any sense.
It's true. So let's say you have a house in Parker. If your house isn't facing west, you don't have this west-facing deck on the back that's just, you get these gorgeous views of the Rocky Mountains like Will's talking about, then you don't really have much views at all. Whereas in Castle Rock, you can have obviously the same westward-facing views that you may have, or if your house is facing literally any other direction, you may have a big bluff behind you or big foothills.
You might be on the side of a rock. You got some pine trees. Like definitely a really cool feel.
It is. So if you're really trying to maximize the Colorado experience, then I would give that edge to Castle Rock as well. In addition to that, you're gonna find way more just big, awesome, cool parks for kids, really good trails throughout your neighborhood, like typical like paved trails that are great for a stroller and just a nice afternoon walk, all the way to legit mountain biking trails. Like in Macanta, there's like 20 something miles of actual mountain biking dirt trails. It fits the whole vibe of the community there.
All I think of with Macanta is, you know those old Fanta commercials?
Yeah,
Fanta,
Macanta.
Don't you wanna Fanta?
I don't know how they haven't used that in a marketing campaign.
Probably for licensing reasons.
Yeah, good
That's a pretty big thing. But you guys also have Philip S. Miller Park down in Castle Rock. You've got the mini incline. If you guys haven't heard of the incline before, down in Colorado Springs, you have this huge mountain with railroad ties, steps that takes you about an hour to do. It's called the incline. It's an amazing hike, amazing views once you get to the top of it. Well, there's a mini incline in Castle Rock. I think it's right there at Philip S. Miller Park.
It is, yep.
Great little outdoor workout. You have a lot of fun with that, but you've got like some confidence courses with some ropes and some rappelling for kiddos. You've got soccer fields, you've got indoor swimming pools, you've got the zip lines. Really fun. So whether it's mountain biking and drinking a Fanta, whether in Macanta, whether it's the zip lines and having fun, you do really have all the extremes you can think about right there in Castle Rock. And again, some people might not want to necessarily live right in that. Some people like it a little bit more quiet. Some people might like a specific school, even though both are Douglas County, you might like a specific school that's in Parker, but within 15 minutes, you can also enjoy Castle Rock like a lot of other folks that don't live in Castle Rock also enjoy, right? So it's really more so about what your guys' living style needs to look like, not just because it's cool to live in Castle Rock, whatever maybe, but like really identifying, hey, what does our day in and day out lifestyle look like? What do we really need? What do we not? What's a distraction? What's not? What's our commute look like to work? Or do you need to be closer to the airport? Parker's a little bit closer to the airport. Your access to 470 is a little bit easier in Parker versus coming out of Castle Rock. More times than not, you have to travel I-25 north to get to 470. So I would say the commute in proximity to airports a little bit smoother when it comes to coming in and out of Parker. You've got some other back roads that you can take. But again, this comes down to like your guys' specific needs and like, hey, what do we really need on a day-to-day basis and what makes our family successful? And then comparing that to some of your pleasurabilities and what you like and just making sure that the best fits for you.
Let's head back to the office and we're gonna get into the maps, all the nitty-gritty as far as specific schools, ratings, commute times, if you're needing to commute to downtown on a regular basis versus commuting to Denver International Airport. Both of those are going to weigh heavily on which place you may choose to live.
Correct.
So let's hit the office. See you guys in just a few. All right, so now that you've learned a little bit about the details about Castle Rock and Parker, let's dive into the specifics, starting with exactly where these two are located on the map in comparison with each other. With Denver as our landmark, we've got Denver sitting right here. And then as Will mentioned earlier, if you trace I-25 all the way straight down south, you're gonna see down here, we've got Castle Rock. And if we still trace I-25 down south from Denver, we're gonna head east a little bit and we're gonna have Parker here. So bust out my marker, just highlight where exactly these are. So here toward the bottom of the map, you will see the outline of Castle Rock. And then up here to the northeast, you're going to see, now both are fairly similar in size, but for the sake of this part of the video, I want to show you guys exactly where they sit really in relation to the major highways, because that's going to be one of the biggest differentiating factors between the two cities. Right here, we've got I-25 that is going to pretty much divide Colorado and the entire Denver metro area into east-west portion. So I-25 is our main north-south highway. In addition to that, the other most popular highway that you're going to use is 470. Now, 470 is basically going to be a big horseshoe or loop around the south side of the Denver metro area. 470 is going to run east to west. And then once you get to the east side of town here in Southeast Aurora, 470 is then going to loop back up and it is going to take you all the way to the airport. To summarize, I-25 is going to be the road that you take basically from Parker or Castle Rock to downtown Denver. 470, on the other hand, is the main road that you're going to take if you're trying to get out to the airport. How does Castle Rock and Parker compare to Denver? What's nice about Castle Rock is even though it is a little bit further down south than Parker, you sit right on I-25, right? Again, Castle Rock right here, I-25 that runs right down in the middle of it. So depending on where you live in Castle Rock, if you're close to the highway, it could just be a quick 3 to 5 minute jaunt to get onto the highway, and then boom, you're heading straight north to Denver. If you live a little bit more on the outskirts of Castle Rock, I'll zoom in here to show you, any of these neighborhoods on the far east side, you've got the Meadows on the west side of I-25, which is the biggest neighborhood that you're gonna find, but it really is close to I-25. Now, down south, you're going to have like Montaigne and Crystal Valley down here. Up here on the northern side, you're going to have McCanta. Then here you have your Terrains, handful of just other neighborhoods that are all kind of throughout east side Castle Rock here. Just keep in mind, if you do live on the east side here, this could be a 10-minute drive just over to the highway, and then you got to go north to Denver. So if you're close to the highway, look at about 35 to 40 minutes to downtown Denver. If you live a little bit further off, it could be anywhere from 40 to 50 minutes. If we come here to Parker, depending on where you live in Parker, it's the same sort of thing. So there are new parts of Parker that are over here on the west side that are fairly close to I-25, but the heart of Parker is pretty much going to be over here on the more east side, all the way down to include the Pinery, and then you've got Pradera Country Club and Golf Course down here. And if you live on these, kind of south or more eastern parts of Parker, it is going to take you a little bit longer to get to I-25 as well. So even though Parker is physically further north than Castle Rock, because of its proximity to I-25, it could take you longer to get to downtown Denver. Now, where I will give Parker the edge is if you are going to regularly be commuting to Denver International Airport, or DIA. You've got Parker right here, and what is nice about Parker is it sits just south of 470, that highway I mentioned earlier. If you are looking to get to the airport on a fairly regular basis, it's simply a matter of jumping on 470, and you can take that all the way up north, and then you're going to hit DIA. Now, another good thing about 470, good or bad, depending on how you look at it, I look at it as a good thing, is that this whole east side of 470 here, pretty much from I-25 and east, is a toll road. So that means that, yes, it's going to cost you a few bucks. I think a total of like maybe $6 or $8 with all the checkpoints to get up to the airport. But what's really nice about that is that prevents a lot of people from taking 470. So there is hardly ever any traffic on that at all, unless they're doing construction or anything like that. So it does make drives to the airport very predictable because you're typically not having to mess with a lot of traffic. Now let's talk schools here a bit. This is also where you're going to find a lot of similarities, mainly because Parker and Castle Rock share the same school district, which is Douglas County. Now, Douglas County School District is always in at least the top 5 of the best Denver metro area schools. Typically it's in, maybe the 3 or 4 spot. The majority of those school districts, just to give you guys a quick list here, are going to be Boulder is typically around that number 1 spot. And then you're going to have Jefferson County, which is going to be more homes that are on the west side near the foothills and north as well. And you're going to have Littleton School District, Douglas County, and Cherry Creek schools. All of those are typically kind of bumping places with each other for the top 5 spots, but those are typically your top 5 best school districts that are going to be in here. Cherry Creek, very good at sports. If you've got kids that are, really into sports and things like that, Cherry Creek is notable for their sports programs. Douglas County, also good at sports. Like I know the wrestling team does well. Football does really well with Douglas County and things like that. For the Douglas County schools, you're looking at Parker, Castle Rock, and Highlands Ranch. Maybe you're watching this video and you're not sure on Parker or Castle Rock, but you are a fan of Douglas County schools. Highlands Ranch should definitely be another one that you might want to check out. Now, another thing I want to touch on are the downtown areas of both Castle Rock and Parker. Each of these areas have a very cute, walkable, sort of like historic feel downtown strip, but Parker's is going to be substantially less impressive. Sorry, Parker, but substantially less impressive than Castle Rock's. And I would chalk that up to being, I guess, primarily the size of it. You're going to see a lot more walkability, a lot more shops, a lot more mom and pop restaurants in Castle Rock. In addition to that, they tend to do more just fun activities throughout the summer and things like that. Like they'll have movies and concerts and things like that in downtown Castle Rock. There are, so many just like cute little independently owned restaurants with really, really good food down there, and they're only getting better. Castle Rock also just built a really cool new library in their downtown area. Parker, it's Main Street is what it's called, Parker Main Street. They've remodeled the library over the past couple years. It is way better than it used to be, but the street itself is so limited that there's really not a whole lot of room to grow and expand down there like Castle Rock has been able to. Parker Main Street will also have a really good farmers market every weekend during the summer. That thing's always fun to go to. Great place to meet the neighbors, get your vegetables from local farms throughout the week and things like that. Very cool. But again, just limited. Now, a lot of people that are coming here, they do love the appeal of the cute, walkable downtown area. So if that is one of your main things that you're looking for, man, Castle Rock is going to be really hard to beat. And that's also one of the reasons that I really like Castle Rock, is because they have so many different varieties of like shopping down there. You know, we've talked about the outlet malls, which you guys all know what an outlet mall is. It's a big, giant outdoor shopping area, tons of stores, really good deals, but a lot of traffic on the weekend, right? That's more on the north side near the Meadows, right off I-25. You go down south and you have the historic downtown strip area, right? Very cute. We just went over that. With Parker, it is going to be more spread out. You don't necessarily have, you know, a big outdoor shopping mall. You have chains galore, all the chains, the Targets, Walmarts, Home Depot, Chili's, all those things kind of spread out all throughout Parker, but you don't have some good central place where you can park your car and spend the afternoon shopping with your family. You're typically going to have to go to Park Meadows Mall for something like that, which is in Lone Tree, which honestly is pretty much between Parker and Castle Rock. So it's not that bad. If you live in Parker, I lived in Parker for a long time. It has everything that you need for real. But you might find yourself, you know, going to Castle Rock or going to Southeast Aurora if you're looking for a little bit more exciting family outing for the weekend. So in summary, guys, if you're looking at Parker, you got to look at Castle Rock. If you're looking at Castle Rock, you got to look at Parker. Both have tons of pros and cons for each of them. I would say, guys, if I had to give some advice somewhere, I am a little biased towards Castle Rock. To me, I love all the new builds down there. I love the scenery. I love the shopping. I love the dining. I love all the family activities. Castle Rock to me has a very clear identity to it. If you look at Parker, and again, not talking bad about Parker, I lived there for a long time. I live in Elizabeth now, which is just outside of Parker, but we spend probably 50% of our time in Parker, 50% of our time in Castle Rock. Parker, in my opinion, again, it just lacks that identity that Castle Rock has. Maybe it doesn't have all the trails and hiking that Castle Rock has. Maybe that it doesn't have the bluffs and the big rock formations that feel just very much like Colorado. Maybe it's because it doesn't have the big parks like Philip S. Miller Park like you're going to find in Castle Rock. There's a whole slew of reasons why, you know, I think Castle Rock is just a better bang for your buck. But again, so many people do love Parker for a ton of reasons. It's a great family-friendly community. It is more quiet than Castle Rock. It has way less traffic than Castle Rock, and it is a lot closer to the airport. So if those things are most important to you, Parker is a wonderful place. And then if you want to go to the outlet malls, you can. All that stuff is just about 20-25 minutes from Parker. It doesn't mean that if you pick Parker, you're not going to be in Castle Rock. Again, I would say people that live in both those areas are equally spending time between Parker and Castle Rock for that matter. But again, proximity to the highways, how often you need to get downtown, how often you need to get to DIA are probably going to be your biggest deciding factors right there. So definitely something to take into consideration when you're deciding between Parker or Castle Rock. Now, I hope you guys have found this video helpful. We love making these and we love that you guys hang around to watch them, especially when we start diving into some of the map tour portions here at the end. So guys, you're going to see a phone number popping up on the screen. Again, we are licensed real estate brokers in the state of Colorado. So whether you're looking to move a month from now or a year from now, throw us a text message. Let's jump on a quick call and help you dial in all the nitty-gritty details in regards to what town or city you should be looking at based on your specifics for your situation. All right. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week.